Hi everyone, welcome back to Rebirth TV. I am Stacy Benton, and we are actually launching our Rebirth A Gift Series, and we are in part one, which is conception. So I want to encourage you, if this is your first time watching the videos, watching the content, I really do appreciate it. I just thank you so much for your time, your energy that you're taking to heal your complex trauma and also just help you through your healing journey, regardless of where you're at in that journey. I just want to continue to encourage you and motivate you, inspire you so you can transform your trauma, your complex trauma, and become the best version, your most authentic self. And this is what the Rebirth A Gift series is all about. Um, Today is actually a beautiful day. I hope you are taking care of yourself, taking time to just really reflect on how far you've come today and so far, and just really be thankful and come from a place of thankfulness and just gratitude for the simple things in life, because sometimes we can get so overwhelmed with where we're at, what we do have, what we don't have, what we would like to have, and just really get captivated by things that really can be it definitely could be complicated. As far as life can definitely be complicated, but sometimes just taking the simple place of just gratitude, just saying like, I'm just thankful just to wake up this morning, just to relieve some of that pressure and that stress of everything that you have to do today. You have to take care of the kids, you got to go to work, you got to cook, and also with all of these things, you got to take care of your pets, yeah, clean the house, walk the dog, whatever you're doing. But despite all of these things, you still have to take care of yourself. You still have to find time to continue to take care of yourself and continue your healing journey. So this is what this is about. In my videos, if this is your first time, you know that I really don't follow a very specific format, but I want you to get a better feel of my authentic self, who I am as a person, because this is what it's about. I want you to definitely feel like you have someone, a support system, or it's a supportive outlet that you can watch the videos and feel, relaxed and not feeling a lot of shame or guilt or negative emotions, which I know you're already feeling or dealing with as a result of your complex trauma. So the main objective here with the Rebirth A Gift series is to just educate you, inspire you, encourage, uplift, and just help you transform your journey, transform as you continue your journey in healing your complex trauma. So just really heads off to you guys for just my main goal is just, if one person watched the video, then great. I know that this content is going to reach millions, but if I just touch the life of just one person, then I just feel absolutely elated and just encourage myself. So we're in this together, and you're not alone. So what we were doing is I was sharing some content when it comes to personality disorders. This is some mental health issues or diagnosis, just to really help you to understand if you have a mental health diagnosis or if you do not. There's no shame, there's no guilt here. So the main goal is for you to now, if you have one, if you don't, is to really just pay attention to your emotional state, your psychological state. Is these videos will help increase your self-awareness, which is very vital when it comes to healing and continuing the process. So what I'm going to do is just shift a little here and just go to the video. And again, I'm using Very Well Mind. Oh, excuse me. I'm using Very Well Mind right now, and this is the website that I am just utilizing. They have some great content. So I really want to encourage you to go back, once you get off the videos, is to actually go back and just watch the and read the articles yourself, because education is an enormous piece here, and it will help tremendously when it comes to healing your journey, healing your complex trauma. So let me go down here. We were talking about this segment here, just bipolar mania or mania. And also we were discussing on the other videos just different aspects of that. The signs and features of bipolar mania can vary from person to person and can last anywhere from a few days or to several weeks. So mania is where you're very high, you have very high energy, you're at a state of, a lot of people experience getting a lot of things done. It's like when mania comes, it's like, oh wow, I could just work. But when you fall, or when there's a dip and you go into depression, that's where it can get very, very low. There's very low periods. And to the point where you can find it very difficult. It's like a dramatic shift in your emotions and your energy levels. So if you have experienced like the mania, you understand that. But also on the other side of that, there's depression. So these are just signs and features or symptoms of mania. So when either confirming or ruling out mania, a licensed mental health professional will look for a period of over a week of persistently elevated or irritable moods with increased activity and energy, accompanied by at least 3 of the following. So again, when I'm going on these articles, I want you to think about and relate it to your childhood trauma, because we're going back to the beginning. We're going back to conception. So I want you to think about how your childhood trauma may have impacted your bipolar symptoms or diagnosis if you have one. And I want you to take in consideration of different elements of your childhood abuse that may be a foundational premise to your actual bipolar disorder diagnosis. And just taking a look of that and seeing where or when that you actually start experiencing the mania. Do you remember, was there a disruption even in childhood? You may have not even gotten an actual diagnosis until adulthood, most likely. And I just want you to just really think about that connection. And if you know definitely that it is a connection with my childhood trauma, then I want you to really speak or talk or break the silence with your therapist or your healing advocates that's actually going through this process with you, and that is your therapist or your spiritual advisor or leader or a trauma coach. Okay, is just really break the silence and start opening up when it comes to those experiences, because what it's going to do, you're going to start to see there's a connection. And when you start to have more aha moments, the less mania episodes you will find yourself in, because then you'll be able to see the pattern and you'll be able to disrupt that pattern by saying, okay, well, I know that there's when I think about my childhood home and I just really are in this funk, I'm in a low state or I'm in a mania state, and I'm constantly just really thinking about my childhood home where the abuse happened, whatever the emotional trigger is. I want you to really take a closer look into that and talk about those experiences with your healing advocate, because they are going to definitely bring more insight and more healing. Because a mental health diagnosis is just a diagnosis. It's not a healing. It does not heal you. It just identifies what you're actually experiencing and putting a name on it. So we're trying to transform that by going through a process of identification and connecting those experiences, those emotional triggers, back to your childhood. And now expressing that, communicating those experiences, and breaking the silence. So if you have experienced at least 3 of the following, so if you don't have a diagnosis but you still could experience these things, are these signs and features without a diagnosis? Because trauma can, you keep with complex trauma, there's definitely where you will question if there is a mental health issue, like an actual diagnosis you may want to explore. It does not mean that you have a mental health issue, or you have a serious mental health issue that needs to be diagnosed. It's just paying attention to your emotional and your mental psychological state. That's what I want you to focus on. So increased rates of speech marked by rapid and relentless verbosity, including the pressure to keep talking, even when others try to speak. So pressure to speak. So you just can't stop talking. It's almost like rambling. Grandiose beliefs with inflated self-esteem, in which a person believes they are better at doing something than anyone else, or is able to accomplish a difficult task in hours instead of days or weeks. So there's a sense of grandiosity where really just think bigger than what you really are. Like, just say, for instance, if you're an artist and you're like, well, I could do an album. If you're a singer, your art, you have artistic expression. Like, well, I could do an album in like a whole album in a week. And I'm not saying it's not possible, but is that normal for you? So grandiose beliefs reduce need for sleep and not feeling fatigued when sleep deprived. So you haven't slept in days, but you don't feel sleepy. Flight of ideas and or racing thoughts that manifest a continuous stream of consciousness, a repetitive cycle of thoughts, or as fragmented and incoherent thought. For some, this simply presents as disconnected and very fast racing thoughts. So you just have all these ideas just coming, like they're just flowing through your mind. They're just going at a very rapid speed. You can't really come to terms with it, or you can't write it down. It's just that they're coming so fast that you can't even document, or you can't really have time to digest your thoughts. They're just racing. They're just coming in like a flood. Being easily distracted, unable to focus, or fixated on a task you can't pull yourself away from. So either you're really distracted, can't focus, or you just stuck on this one thing that you cannot get off of. These are all signs of mania, and that you may not even be thinking that it's a mania. Even if you have a diagnosis or you don't, if you do have a diagnosis of bipolar, then you know your patterns by now. But if you don't, or you have complex trauma that you have not really dealt with, you can have these experiences as well. There could be an emotional trigger that just causes you to go from one mood to the next because you're emotionally triggered. So deciphering what is different for you, especially if you don't have a mental health diagnosis, is journaling your experiences and speaking about it, sharing it with your trusted healing advocate that you're working with. Increase goal directed activity or psychomotor agitation, such as pacing or hand wringing. It's a severe form of restlessness that manifests with pointless movement, jitterness, and or repetitive motion. So you're just really, really amped up. Like you cannot sit down. You have a very increased sense of energy.